let's talk about getting rich. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tatiana, and today I want to discuss with you how the rich actually think. So paying yourself first is essentially taking about 5 to 10% or really anything that you think is appropriate for you and setting it aside. You're not going to touch it, it's just going to sit there. You can use it for your investments or whatever you want. It's basically creating your savings account. And in its place, you're going to use the leftovers, so the leftover 90 or 95% of your paycheck to actually cover all of your expenses, whether that's your bills, your mortgage, your credit card debt, any of that. And even if that's not enough to cover all those expenses, we're still not going to touch that other 10 to 5% we already took out. And here's why. So this panic or fear that it creates in you is going to motivate you to think of creative ways in which you can make up for that loss. In other words, it's going to make you think of creative ways for you to make that money. So instead of saying, well, I can't afford this, you're going to start saying, how can I afford this? So yeah, okay, maybe you're running a little short for this month's rent. What you're going to do is now you're going to start panicking and you're going to start thinking of different ways you can make up that money. Say maybe this month you're going to have to sell maybe some of your old clothes, or you're going to run a bake sale. And in this way, you're starting to problem solve, and this is going to help you in the future, and who knows, it might even lead you to your next business venture. Now, the second way in which the rich people think is they know the difference between an asset and a liability. And you've probably heard about this before, but it's really important to keep the two very clear and know exactly what they are. So assets are generally investments, money that is created passively without much of your effort, without much work. It's just money kind of being created for you. So what exactly qualifies as an asset? So an asset would be anything from stocks to bonds, to royalties or any passive income businesses that you have, even real estate investments. However, what is not an asset? And this is so important because people often mess up here. So a liability would be anything from your car loan to your mortgage to your credit card debt. This is all money that you owe and isn't adding any money to you because you're still paying it off. So what's the trick here? Well, once we know what the two are, the ideal situation to be in is basically to have enough assets making you enough money that it's going to cover all your liabilities and then some. So in this way, we are creating a positive cash flow and we're making money. If you're still a little confused on this topic, don't worry. I really recommend you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. He goes a little bit more in depth and really clarifies what the two are and how you can use it to your advantage to really grow financially. The third thing is to live well below your means. Now this is kind of tricky because oftentimes when you think of rich people, you think of them flaunting their wealth. They have a bunch of cars, a huge house, and so on. However, the truth is a lot of these people actually can't even afford it and they're just doing it for show. The people who are actually wealthy and financially stable are the ones living below their means. Especially if you're young, this is probably the best time to be doing this. Now I'm not saying don't enjoy your money at all. It's more about finding a balance, but also don't just get so caught up in the hype and wanting to show it off, because that can also be a bit detrimental. In other words, it's not about the money you make, but about the money that you save. You also got to think about your future. So let's say you got a bonus. Don't use that to go out and buy a new designer watch, a designer bag, whatever it may be. Instead, try to find some kind of a balance. So maybe take 50% of that bonus and set it aside for your savings, and then the other 50% you can actually use however you want. Take a vacation, buy yourself that watch. A big mistake that a lot of people do comes when they actually get a raise in their job or some kind of a promotion. Suddenly they're making much more money and therefore they think they can live a much more lavish lifestyle. While this is kind of true, more often than not, these people kind of get out of hand and take it a little bit too far, to the point that they actually can't afford this lifestyle. It's not sustainable. So what should you do instead? Let's say I get a raise. Yeah, sure, you're getting a raise and a promotion. That's fantastic. Celebrate, pat yourself on the back, but then think to yourself, I've been living just fine the past couple years with the money I've been making. I don't really need to change much now, even though I'm making more money. Now, I'm not saying don't enjoy it. Yes, enjoy it, but here's how to do it in a smart way. So what you can do is you can take half of that raise and you can set that aside for your savings, for your investments, whatever that may be. And then the other half is for you to spend however you want. So yes, if you can still afford the new car, get the new car. If you want to take that trip to Europe, go take that trip to Europe. This is just a really great way of balancing the two, still being able to enjoy your life, but also not going super crazy and then wondering, how am I going to keep up with this? Because again, we're thinking about that positive cash flow and building up our assets. Because really, we want money working for us. We don't want to work for money. By doing this, we're basically finding a balance between celebrating our hard work and efforts, as well as looking out for our future. So the next one that might be a little bit surprising is to give before you receive. So oftentimes when we talk to people, they say,
yeah, like when I make X amount or when I get this promotion,
I'm gonna start donating, I would give this and that money if I had this much money to begin with. Okay, yeah, it's honestly all a bunch of lies. Most of us don't end up following through. Middle class mindset is often wanting more. Whereas what the rich have learned is that in order to receive, they need to give. In other words, they need to put out into the universe what they want to receive. Now the key here is to give without expecting to receive. Because yeah, you'll receive it eventually, but it's not going to be immediate and you're not doing it for that immediate gratification. You're basically giving to give because what they understand is that if you give in abundance, you'll receive in abundance. In other words, there's more than enough for all of us. And that's why these entrepreneurs or these successful investors are so successful, because they understand that, there's room for them in the market, that more than enough time for them to become successful, that there's enough money to go around for them to also receive some. It's this whole idea of abundance and having the right mindset. And I know to a lot of us, this probably sounds like kind of crazy, probably not true, but honestly, most of the books that these entrepreneurs suggest all have to deal with having the right mindset. Because when you think positively, more positive things start to happen. In this manner, we're also practicing gratitude, and there are a ton of books that kind of go into this a little bit deeper if you're interested. And so the last way in which the rich actually think is they work to learn and not for money. And now a lot of us are probably guilty of this. We work a lot for money because we kind of need it to stay afloat. And because of this, a lot of us end up being burned out. What I'm trying to say is when we're doing it for money, we're not really doing it for the right reasons. So we have no passion, we're not very interested, we're not really going to grow at the same pace as if we were doing it because it was something we enjoyed and a skill we wanted to learn. So next time when you're trying to look for a job, think about the skills you actually want to learn and not necessarily what kind of money you want to make. So basically, go after jobs just because you want to learn the skill. Especially if you're an entrepreneur, this is going to help you in so many ways because there's going to be so many hats you have to wear. Now, if you don't believe me, Sarah Blakely actually did this to succeed with her business. Now, if you don't know, Sarah Blakely is actually this very successful founder. She founded Spanx. She started off by selling fax machines to companies. She'd go in person and make her sales pitch. And after that, she decided to get into stand-up comedy. And at first it seems a bit random and like they have no correlation, but there's a reason she did it. She wanted to learn more about humor so that she could include that into her sales pitch. So then when she started pitching her item, Spanx, to stores like Neiman Marcus, she could include her humor, and this significantly increased her conversion. At the end of the day, it doesn't even have to be a job. You could even sign up for these classes as like a hobby outside of your work, as long as you're learning. Basically, what the rich do is that they don't work for money, they let the money work for them. And that's basically what they're after. So let me know in the comments below if you're already employing any of these or which ones you want to employ, and let's grow rich together. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye.